Whether we had another week of some rain, some cooler weather, some warmer weather. Not going to talk about weather because I feel like that's what we talk about all the time. It is an important part of fishing though, so I'm not telling you to downplay the weather, the conditions, the pressure, those sorts of things, wind direction. Those are things you always want to look at as an angler before you hit the water so you can plan and prepare. But like we've talked about before, you can't control that element of the day on the water. You can't control what the weather does. You have to take it. You have to swing at it, but you can be prepared. So weather this last week, it did what it did, and it always will. We'll jump right into the fishing side of things. I spent time on Minnetonka a decent amount. North Metro. I was over in Wisconsin. I kind of zigged and zagged and spent time all over the place. Targeting walleyes. We targeted bass this week. We had the first Denny's on Monday on Lake Minnetonka. Congratulations to Ryan and Pete. 23-13 was their winning bag for 6 bass, and they also brought in a 6-pound kicker. It was a moose, head and heels bigger over anything else that was waiting. I think the next biggest bass was like a 4 3/4, and Pete caught that 6.05 mule. I mean, I held it. It was a big fish. So congratulations, great first Denny's on Tonka. A lot of anglers out there just getting after it. I didn't spend a ton of time asking them how they caught their fish, what they did, to be honest, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going to give you kind of what we did to catch our fish and what we've done this last week. Started targeting walleyes almost every single day on every body of water we went to. It was, let's try to catch a walleye. Let's switch gears, maybe chase some bass. We chased some panfish, crappies and bluegills this week. Had good success on both. We'll walk through kind of what these fish are doing and kind of how they're progressing into this June 1st. It is June 1st today. Yes, welcome June. Here we are, full steam ahead. June. Wow. Kids have 1 week of school left. Jackson playoff lacrosse. Summer is knocking on their doorsteps. And I think tomorrow on Monday, I think I saw 80s. I think I heard rumors and rumblings of 90s in some parts of the state. We will see. We have a weird hazy sky the last couple days. Obviously the smog coming down, that's changed some things. Even though there's not any clouds, it looks cloudy. The sun is not rampant because of that haze. Doesn't mean you still can't get sunburned. Doesn't mean you still shouldn't wear the long sleeve shirts, the hoods, put on the necessary stuff to make sure you stay safe. But yeah, we have a little bit of a weird haze going on. Water temps on Tonka this week. I wasn't there over the weekend, but we were looking at mid 60s as we wrapped up the week. I went to the North Metro. I was up in the Chisago County, and we saw similar temps as we progressed through the end of the week. Mid to upper 60s. I'm talking 66, 67. I didn't quite see anything 70. Didn't go back into any weird cuts, shallow, sloppy bays. All the lakes I fished are relatively good size, so the lake next door to you could be 70. It's hard to say, but everything I've seen here has been 62 to 66 degrees has kind of been what we're seeing here. Now, we're going to see a change here in the next couple of days with this warmer weather, mid to upper 80s. We're going to see waters trickle into the 70s. We're going to see bass full spawn out, crappies full spawn out, bluegills move out of their beds, which they're starting to just trickle in. I'm seeing most of our better sized females plump and full of eggs still. They haven't set up on the beds. Now, any day now, literally any day, you're going to see a rapid change in that. You're going to see all them shallow colonies light up with bluegills. Please be selective of that. Practice selective harvest. If you catch a big old plump female, let it go. Catch another one that's maybe a tinge smaller and you can throw it in the box. If you see all these bluegills on their colonies, on their beds, you all know you can go up there and probably pluck them off pretty quick. Not here to preach or tell you what to do or not to do, but me personally, I'm gonna let those fish kind of subside, especially if they're actively on beds. I'm not gonna pull everything off of them, but to each their own. If that's your plan, whatever. So, but that's what's going to be happening here in the next week or so. They're going to be actively spawning. Like I said, the bass, a lot of them are post-spawn. There were some fish caught for sure during the Denny's on Monday, as well as throughout the week that were ballooned up. They were still looking to spawn. So we're kind of in that weird transition here. Everything for the most part still shallow, and I'm still talking walleyes. I'm talking we're catching our walleyes in 4, 5, 6, 7 feet of water still, 10 feet of water maybe. I'm not out in 15 or 20, not in the lakes that I'm fishing. Bass on top of the shallow flats. We're catching them on wacky rigs, and I wanted to talk about Mr. Twister has some SI, salt infused plastics. There's a variety of different options out there. If you go to MrTwister.com, you'll see that. The Kamita, everyone knows I love this bait. It's your stick bait, your Senko. There's now an SI version. New formula, the salt is impregnated throughout the entire body, gives it a little faster fall. All the attributes that salt gives to a stick bait, very durable, well built. I've had a chance to use the SI Kamita this entire spring so far. Fish pounded. Where a lot of Senkos get tore up pretty quick, that's one of the biggest advantages of that Kamita is I'll catch 20 fish on one bait. Pretty nice. And so kudos to Mr. Twister for putting salt in some of their Kamitas now. You also have a ringworm, you have a lizard, you have a variety of presentations, plastics that are now salt infused. So go on the website, you can check those out. The Kamita SI, 100% not in my boat. So super excited for that one. Job well done. That's how we're catching a lot of our bass, honestly, is just a wacky rig. You could throw a shallow swim jig, catching them on that. We are catching them, trying to catch a walleye on flukes and shallow minnow baits and all that stuff. You throw a jerk bait, you throw a chatter bait. The largemouth, like I've mentioned, they're all over the place. They're hungry, they're fun. It's an easy way to get bit, put a bend to the rod, get people laughing and giggling in the boat. Bass are kind of happening right now, so that's pretty cool. Good stuff. Walleye stuff. I'm leaning a lot on our jig and minnow. We've talked about this now for a few weeks. It continues to produce. I'm using a drop TG. This is a tungsten jig head mustad hook. I am using, honestly, black probably 60-70% of the time. I will use a brighter variation. I got rigged on a chartreuse orange, chartreuse green, fire tiger with something more natural. I just kind of like how that matches up on our bodies of water, but I will fish a lot of blackhead, natural dark colored bodies, whether it's a minnow imitating body, a perch. This head perch pattern has caught a lot of fish on the lakes we're targeting, walleyes as well as Minnetonka. So tungsten, smaller profile, heavier than lead, gets down quick. I can do what I want with it. I'm fishing in under 10 feet of water. I can pitch smaller profile further, keep contact with the bottom, and also rip it through the weeds, which is important. A lot of anglers asking about fishing in the weeds. The braid is a big deal because there's no stretch. I can snap it through. If you're not snagging a weed once in a while, I'm telling you right now, it's probably not where your walleyes are. Now, there are some rogue big fish cruising the outside weed edges, about 20, 30, 40 feet out, kind of into the abyss, not out in the deep water, but just kind of roaming those flats. I'm finding those fish on a forward-facing sonar. I get it. If that's not your cup of tea, totally understand. That's how I'm finding them. Without it, I don't find them. So get onto the bandwagon. Don't get onto the bandwagon of forward-facing sonar. Not my point with this video, but I'm just telling you, without that technology, I don't find those bigger fish. So rant over there. Another easy way to catch a walleye. We talked about bobber fishing. I've mentioned it in a lot of videos over the last couple of years. We talk about power corking, and I still get some people to ask me, what exactly does that mean? I'll run through my setup quick and talk about what I'm doing. This is just a Kalin's bobber. This actually comes in a complete kit at Thorne Brothers. It comes with the bobber, the cylinder weight, it comes with the hooks, it comes with the slip knot, it comes with everything you need to rig up this power corking method, but there's a variety of brands out there that do a good job. I like this smaller round bobber because I'm casting it quick. My setup here, braided main line all the way to the reel, of course. That is being tied on where the bobber is. So here's the bobber. This is sliding through braided line. I have my slip knot about 5-6 feet up. You can see it. Probably can't see it in the camera, but it's 5-6 feet up from my hook. I got a bead to the slip knot on top of the bobber. Below the bobber, I have my cylinder weight. This can slide, right? This is my weight, whether it's an 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, whatever that weight needs to be, so you can cast and get your presentation down. Then below that, I have a swivel. And then from the swivel, 2 or so feet all the way to the receiving end, I have my fluorocarbon leader. So the bobber can only go this far. There's my presentation. This happens to be a 16th ounce drop TG. I went with the jig head instead of a plain hook. You can certainly do a plain hook and a split shot. I just went with the plain jig head. that's where my leech goes. So there's my fluorocarbon leader tied to a swivel, got my cylinder weight, I got my bobber, bead, slip knot, braided main line, no stretch, castability, quick hook set. The idea behind this setup is that if I see a fish or I want to hit that specific weed line, I can cast right at it. The presentation shoots right down to the fish, and away you go. I'm using a medium light, medium heavy rod. This is just an Avid, St. Croix Avid, 7'2" medium light powered rod. I have a 7'1" medium powered rod I use as well if I'm going a little heavier. 10-pound main line braid, 6 or 8. Actually, this is an 8-pound leader. It's only 2 feet. 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, 10-pound mainline braid, 2500 or 3000 series Shimano. Boom. There's my power corking setup. This is a very effective way to catch walleyes right now, and will be probably throughout most of the season. So that's an effective way to get it. Very simple, easy way to catch them. Hook on a leech, and away you go. You could do a chunk of crawler, you could do a minnow, but me, I'm fishing a leech with that, and that seems to be the best way to get bit. So that's the rundown. In terms of panfish, we talked about the bluegills starting to stage. The crappies are still in the weeds on main points. They are kind of definitely off their spawning pattern, but they're still in the area. And what I'm seeing is they're actually moving just outside those spawning habitats, just out to the weed line, and they're really clumped up. So you're not catching one. There's a school of them. So if you caught them on a shallow flat, let's say a couple weeks ago while they're spawning, they're really close. They're just right on the outside edge, maybe on the tip of the point or on an inside turn, that sort of stuff. That's kind of where we're seeing our crappies. They're not quite nomadic roamers, summer pattern yet. They're really, really into the weeds. Sometimes hard to see on your electronics because they're really blended in. But if you see a real distinct weed line right out from where you caught them a week or two ago, fan cast that area, you're probably going to catch a crappie. And the bluegills, they seem to be up a little tighter because what are they doing? Like we talked about, they are preparing for that spawn. So that's kind of what we're looking at this week. I got a busy day. I'm on the water every day this week. I'm going to be spending a lot of time on Lake Minnetonka. I'm going to do the walleye thing, bass thing, panfish thing. We'll see what happens. We're going to try it all, see what we can get to go. Super excited. Looks like we got up and down weather again, like we kicked this video off, up and down weather, but you can't pick it. Bring your rain gear, bring your warm clothes, bring your sun clothes, bring whatever you need so you can enjoy a day in the water, ice, all that good stuff. So looking like a good week ahead of us. Hopefully the fish continue to cooperate, and we'll come back at you after we finish our first full week of June. So get out there, have some fun, and for the kids finishing school, finish strong, have a great summer break. Good things to come. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.